Well, I'm very glad to welcome Doreen Wang, who is the CEO of Kantar China and also the global head of BrandZ for Kantar from Beijing. Doreen, very warm welcome. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you very much, David, for having me.
Well, I think one of the highlights of understanding what's going on in terms of the results from the 2020 BrandZ Most Valuable Global Brands is what it all means, the key lessons. So let's take a look, Doreen, at the perspective of what can we all learn? Everybody who works with brands, who manages brands, and who is involved in the creative and development of brands. What can we all learn, irrespective of the sectors that we operate in? What can we learn from this year's ranking? So let's start with lesson number one.
Yep. David, the first lesson we have learned this year is it is a very important time to build resilience. And the brand building still matters now, or even matters more. When we look at the 2008, the financial crisis time, those strong brands are able to recover 9 times faster than the MSCI index. And the brand building is not cost. It is the most important investment any company should make to ensure long-term sustainable growth, especially for now to ensure a smooth recovery. And BrandZ, and we have a full analysis on the brand investment now has a very high correlation with market share gain and market share recovery. And from Kantar's barometer studies recently, and consumers, especially Gen Z, expect the brand to be an example and to guide through this change. And 92% of the consumers then said, I enjoy watching advertising even more than before because it reminds me of the great life before COVID-19. So in the meantime, and the strengthening, not just building strong brand, but also strengthening the relationship between strong brands and strong activation is a must do. And we need ROI tools and to really measure how to achieve both short-term and the long-term sales.
And what is it about the BrandZ data set that allows us to really understand why it is that strong brands recover at a disproportionately greater effect than weaker brands?
The analysis is based on the 160,000 brands that we have researched and valued over the past 15 years, and based on our over 3.6 million consumer responses. And this is the data set and fully owned by WPP and Kantar, and that's the unique asset. And there are a lot of data mining and analysis we have done, and this recovery trend, especially the strong brands versus the average brands, is one of our key findings.
Thank you, Doreen. So that's lesson number one. Lesson number two is what?
Well, lesson number two is under quarantine, and strong brands actually did a better job to drive demand and through creating the meaningful difference. And they are able to create a distinct territory and owning an occasion or offering a wider ecosystem of the benefits and to drive growth now and in the future. And I'll give you an example. Lululemon increases brand value by a massive 40%. And they are very focused on distinctive material and new designs. So there is still the product innovation and is moving forward. And Netflix fully owning the evening occasion, which is accelerated by COVID-19 and grows its value by 37%. And Multi, for another example, is fully owning the premium gifting occasion and become the fastest riser and this year by 58%. And higher, Amazon are moving even one step further. So owning multiple occasions and building its ecosystem. So all the brands are starting to upgrading from the traditional product and service brand to nowadays occasion-based brand. And for some brands have already started the next journey, which is ecosystem brand.
So if you look at all those in the round, how important do you think owning an occasion is versus some of those other attributes?
Yeah, owning occasion is become one of the important drivers behind value growth because consumers and using more and more system want to make decisions, and actually occasion based are able to shorten their amount of time in brand selection. And the stronger the brand is owning that occasion, and the easier for the consumers to connect that time or that place um, or that moment with that brand, and it helps shorten the selection time.
Okay, so that's number two. What's number three?
The lesson number three is strong brands will drive perceived value and through holistic innovation. As we know that the crisis time and 71% of the consumers said that their income is being impacted by COVID-19, and 85% of the Gen Z actually already suffering from income reduction. And therefore, consumers become more sensitive, more price sensitive in the new reality. And many brands start to review their pricing strategy and giving out discounts, but it is not enough because consumers are still happy to pay more when the brand is worth it and to save money when they can. And so strong brands must drive that perceived worth. So perceived worth is very important. And through holistic innovations and communications, and by emphasizing its leadership, its specialism, and its trend setting. Just for example, Amazon, Apple, and Tesla are all being perceived as the best at what they do. So all of them actually enjoy a high perceived worth and increase their value, their brand values significantly compared to last year.
It seems to me that there's sort of three buckets that are going to be really important. There is your perceived worth, how innovative you're going to be, because I think consumers are still looking for an amazing amount of newness and innovation, and also being able to position yourself as something that offers amazing value in what's clearly going to become a much more value conscious consumer environment. So what's your fourth trend and important key learning for us?
And in 2020, all the strong brands must digitalize its business model. And this time, not just putting out digital lipsticks, but to go through the whole digital transformation. So every brand need a digital strategy and they need an O2O strategy in this special 2020.
And I think you made a very important point right at the beginning of that section of lesson number 4, that this can't be sort of lipstick. This has to be a state of mind, and a way in which the company needs to reorganize itself to be able to holistically deliver a digital strategy right across the business, but also most importantly to the consumer. So, Doreen, the fifth and final key lesson for 2020.
And many brands, especially the strong brands, start to realize it is the time to be back to the basic, back to the foundation. That is trust, and trust is the driver, and the trust is also the cushion. And until the doors are fully opened, and actually trust is driven by two factors. The first one is expert reliability. You must be expert. You must be in your expertise area. And second is corporate responsibility. And lots of brands actually stand strong through the COVID-19. For example, DHL is being perceived as genuinely care for its customers and able to reserve its business. And JD.com even providing mental health support to its Plus members and during the COVID-19. And yesterday is the June 18 shopping festival, and JD achieved another record high sales year. And the trust is the cushion and give us time until the door is fully opened. And the customers in our BrandZ study, and the customers actually say that all the good deeds done by the brands, and we will pay back in the future.
You know, I think that's really important, isn't it? Because consumers really say they will, and I think we believe them when they say this, that the brands that have helped them, have looked after them, have nurtured them, have been kind to them, have enabled them to get through what is for everybody has been a very difficult period. They are going to remember those brands and those organisations and those retailers for a long time to come.
They definitely are. So all the brands must create demand and build resilience until the doors are fully reopened.
Well, Doreen, 5 unbelievably important and potent lessons that we all need to take account of from the BrandZ top 100 most valuable global brands for 2020. Doreen, as ever, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you very much, David, for having me.